The New York Knicks have officially announced Mike Brown as the next Knicks head coach. He was at the podium today talking as the next Knicks head coach for the first time. In this video, I want to break down all things you need to know about Mike Brown and the new culture that is going to change everything when it comes to these New York Knicks. Welcome into Knicks Media, folks. My name is Richie Melora, and I'm really excited to be your host today, talking all things New York Knicks, and more specifically Mike Brown. We got the Summer League right around the corner as well. This Knicks Summer League roster was just announced yesterday. So all of a sudden, we're going to be starting talking about some interesting things because the Knicks went into free agency, got 2 new players. The rest of the crew is still with this Knicks team. And we got a brand new head coach. And there's a lot of things that Mike Brown talked about that I want to bring up in today's show. So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're live on Bleacher Report right now, talking all things Knicks. So make sure you guys come through to the Bleacher Report app if you're not here already and support Bleacher Report. Now let's get straight into it because I think Mike Brown had a lot of great things to say if you're a Knicks fan that will fire you up. And the first thing that I love that he brought up regarding these New York Knicks is that he appreciates Madison Square Garden. He appreciates the lore of being the Knicks head coach, what that means, right? Because let's be honest, it means a lot for us to be witnessing the next Knicks head coach. And what I mean by that is it's a big responsibility. And I think that he understands that. Based off of his opening comments, Mike Brown, he spoke before he was asked any questions, and I feel like he started off the press conference with a bang, just highlighting the importance of what it means to be the Knicks head coach, what Madison Square Garden brings, the biggest stage in the world, talking about us fans, how passionate we are, talk glowingly about the roster. Like, it's cool to hear from Mike Brown because, as we know as Knicks fans, we never get to hear from Leon Rose, ever. But we are able to hear from the man himself today, which is Mike Brown, the next Knicks head coach. And I think that should fire you up if you're a Knicks fan. You see on your screen here, Leon Rose with Mike Brown today. This is what it looks like for the first time, seeing Mike Brown with Leon Rose. And he went out to thank Jim Dolan, of course, to be the next Knicks head coach, and Leon Rose. And I think the big thing that I took away from his press conference, if you want to simplify it in all, is he's not afraid to say establishing a culture here. And I think that's an interesting thing that I wanted to start off with because you can argue there's already an established culture there in terms of sustainability and winning, right? Leon Rose came here and the Knicks have made it to the playoffs 4 out of straight 5 seasons under Tom Thibodeau, coming off an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. So there is an established culture, but he's bringing a new culture. And I think it's going to be interesting because he said we can't miss any steps. And he started breaking down the cliche, working hard, being focused, all those cliches just to remind us, like, yeah, I'm going to come here and build this thing from scratch, even though there's already a foundation laid there from Tom Thibodeau. And that's important because you don't want to miss steps. You don't want to just assume everybody's on the same page. You got to be able to dig deep within this organization, look at the roster, look at the players. And he had nothing but great things to say about the players, which I'm really excited to talk about. When he was asked about Jalen Brunson, he first said, well, as you guys know, I do like to play fast. That is my style of play. When you have a guy like Jalen Brunson, that's going to be up close and personal when you see this Knicks team. Now, he's not De'Aaron Fox level fast like he had over in Sacramento with Mike Brown when he was the Kings head coach. With the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, he likes to move in transition. And I'm excited to see the speed element of this offense start to unlock. And you see teams like the Indiana Pacers, that's what they're known for, running fast, in transition, the ball's moving up and down the floor. Mike Brown, that's what he's known for as well. Another thing about his opening press conference that I love, he's not afraid to talk about the championship word. He understands he's brought here to win a championship. And that's really what it comes down to. And it's honestly wild because when Tom Thibodeau was hired, when you hear him say, yeah, we're going to compete for championships, and by the way, every single new coach that goes to any team, they're going to bring that word up, but it feels different with Mike Brown because Leon Rose made the decision to fire Tom Thibodeau because he felt like Tibbs was not the head coach that could win an NBA title as the Knicks head coach. So he made that decision, and he decides to go in a different direction just for the sole reason to win a championship, right? And that there's a lot of pressure. And Mike Brown said that there is no pressure because he holds himself to a standard that he puts pressure on himself to demand excellence. And I think that's pretty awesome. I think the collaborative effort and the transparency of Mike Brown is it's refreshing. There's a completely different dynamic between Mike Brown at the podium than Tom Thibodeau already. You don't win games at the podium, but I'm excited to see what it looks like. I absolutely am excited to see what this team looks like under Mike Brown. I think that his scheme is going to be really different than what we've ever seen as Knicks fans. I'm excited to see what it looks like in terms of getting Karl-Anthony Towns the ball in unique, creative ways. Mikal Bridges, OG, they're going to get unlocked offensively. We're going to see this bench unit get unlocked. And the cool thing about Mike Brown, if you're a Knicks fan, you want to get really excited, and he touched on it as well, is his experience throughout his entire career in the NBA. He knows what it takes to win a championship. 4 rings he has as an assistant. Like, he's been on multiple championship teams. He's brought a team to the NBA Finals as a coach. So he understands what DNA is required to be a champion in this league. And that's important. I guarantee you that is a big reason why Leon Rose and Dolan hired him. They feel like he has championship pedigree. It's not someone that you have to, wonder, is he good enough? Is he going to be good enough to go out there and make a move like that, right? And you look at Mike Brown and Leon Rose, you talk about collaborative, that's what it's going to be all about. Leon Rose wanted to bring in a guy that he feels like he can be collaborative with. And I think hearing that word being stressed from Leon Rose and Worldwide Wes and Dolan tells me that Tom Thibodeau was not as collaborative as they would hope towards the end of his tenure. I think that I read an article mentioning that the Knicks were very frustrated with Tom Thibodeau's minutes to the starters, straining the starting 5, not going deep into the bench, all these little schematic issues. And I'm pretty sure the front office brought that up to Thibodeau, and Tibbs was stubborn and was not willing to adapt. And if you're not willing to adapt to the modern day NBA, and I think every NBA fan can agree that Tibbs was playing the starters too many minutes and was not utilizing the bench, made a crazy adjustment late in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's when you make an adjustment to the starting 5. So that's just an example of Tibbs not being as collaborative and open-minded to new adjustments, and I think Mike Brown is going to hear that. I think Mike Brown is going to have a completely different philosophy that we're not used to, because we're used to our starting 5 playing the entire game. That's not going to be the case. We're going to see Deuce McBride get a lot more minutes. We're going to see maybe the young guys like Tyler Kolek, maybe, perhaps, Ariel Hook-Porty. You never know. The youth get some actual minutes. We're going to see maybe a 10 to 11-man rotation. I think Mike Brown understands that he wants this team fresh. He's going to want them playing fast. And the way that this Knicks team can beat other squads is with their depth. Because you look at the roster with the additions of Jordan Clarkson, with the additions of Yubusele. You added Mitchell Robinson another year healthy. With Deuce McBride off the bench. With the rest of the dudes. Of Ariel Hook-Porty like we talked about. Bacome Daddier, Kolek, and the boys. Like, that's a legit bench. Not to mention the starting 5 that we all love in Josh Hart, OG, Bridges, Cat, and Brunson. And another question is, what is the starting 5 going to be under Mike Brown? Is it going to be Mitch and Cat on the same floor to start it off? Or is Mitch coming off the bench? Is Josh Hart coming off the bench? I have no idea. I'm definitely curious to get your guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comments, where do you think the starting 5 should look like under Mike Brown? But it definitely was a little refreshing to hear, finally, from Mike Brown, because we never get to hear from Leon Rose, ever, okay? And this was a quote that Mike Brown said about the Knicks that you just love to hear. Quote, "You talk about a historic franchise, Madison Square Garden, it's iconic. Our fans, they're the most knowledgeable and passionate in all of sports." Well, thank you, Mike Brown. That's a compliment to us, okay? So if you're a Knicks fan watching this right now, Mike Brown just complimented you. He said that us Knicks fans, collectively, are the most knowledgeable and the most passionate fans in the NBA. Mike Brown, I have to agree with you. And that is a great way to get on the right the right side of things with Knicks fans off the jump. Because if there's another thing we know about Knicks fans that Mike Brown's going to find out is, yeah, we're passionate, we're knowledgeable, but, we're going to start to be very critical if things go south. And someone that's been covering this Knicks team for, I don't know, how long has it been? 5 years since I started creating content and covering the Knicks. Knicks fans are relentless in terms of being very critical when things go south. Of course, very supportive at the same time. But if things start to look a little certain way, and that's where I come in. I'm always the one that's like, guys, relax. I remember there were so many Knicks fans throughout this past regular season that was ready to hit the panic button and ready to blow the whole thing up. And I'm like, guys, we're in January. Relax, all right? The only thing that matters is the playoffs, okay? So this fan base, I hope that they embrace Mike Brown. They welcome him in with open arms. He chose his job knowing that the pressure is off the charts, and he's embracing the challenge. And I think as a Knicks fan, that fires me up, right? He talks about pressure, and he's like ready to go. And I think that just is something that, as a Knicks fan, that's something that's very, very exciting. Absolutely very, very exciting. Now, he did say something very interesting regarding Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns, and I want to read this direct quote from Mike Brown. This is him talking about Cat and Mitchell Robinson. He said, quote, "I'm excited that they're both on the team, obviously because they're two different players. To have the versatility that those two guys bring to the table is going to be a lot of fun." All right, so that's pretty exciting. I think that if you're a Knicks fan, that should absolutely fire you up because you look at what he's able to do with those two bigs, with Big Cat and Big Mitchell Robinson. I'm very intrigued to see what it's going to look like. So you guys let me know if you are excited as well, as much as I am, to see what these two look like with Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns. I think that's exciting. Absolutely. Right? There's a lot of other changes that is going to be expected to this Knicks roster in terms of the scheme to unlock the true potential of this Knicks roster. That is something that I'm going to keep an eye on. What is the differences in scheme that he is going to do, right? This is what he had to say about the starting five last season. He said, "I'm looking forward to putting a plan in place and working with those guys on both ends of the floor, implementing my vision. That is very exciting for me." All right, so right there, you talk about implementing a brand new vision, a brand new philosophy with the same roster, with the same guys. And I think that's very important. You talk about Mike Brown's ability to scheme up offensive schemes that's going to unlock potential. Like, look at the starting five of this Knicks team, and you are going to be satisfied. And they proved it last year. Jalen Brunson is a superstar. Karl-Anthony Towns is an all-star. OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges are one of the two best wings in the league collectively. And then you got Josh Hart, who can do everything. And then you could argue Mitchell Robinson could be in that starting five. That's how good it is. Do you realize that there's going to be an open competition amongst the Knicks fan base to debate who should start, Josh Hart or Mitchell Robinson? And let me first say, that is a great problem to have. That's how deep this Knicks team is. And I think that him emphasizing both ends of the floor excites me as a Knicks fan because, of course, he's an offensive-minded guy, but the defense is going to be a priority because with the defensive versatility of OG and Bridges and Deuce and Mitchell Robinson, like, they got four guys on this roster that are fantastic defensively. And then you look at the offensive firepower with Brunson and Cat and all the rest of the guys, Jordan Clarkson, add that to the mix. I mean, we're talking about the team that is favorited to come out of the Eastern Conference for a reason. You know, forget the factors of, oh, the Celtics are going downhill because of Tatum and Pacers are going downhill because of Halliburton's injury and they're losing Miles Turner. Like, forget all the rest of the teams in the East. The way that this Knicks team looks, even if Tatum was healthy, even if Halliburton was healthy next year, I still got confidence in this Knicks team to do the whole thing next year and come out of the Eastern Conference. That is what I'm talking about right here. When you look at this Knicks team collectively with Mike Brown, expectations are through the roof, and they absolutely should. And I have all the trust and the faith in the world that Mike Brown was the perfect hire because it is going to change everything when it comes to the dynamic of the locker room. He is going to come in here and spark something that I feel like we as Knicks fans are still living on that high of, wow, we're not incompetent anymore. We're not the laughingstock of the league anymore. We're not the, team that everyone likes to point fingers at that we lose the lottery. Like, those days are done. Now expectations have risen. Now we are demanding excellence. And I think this guy right here, Mike Brown, is the right man for the job. I absolutely do. Now, I think that expectations being super high is definitely going to be a little bit daunting. As a Knicks fan, it's like, whoa, we got to we got to make sure that this actually happens. We got to win the first round of the playoffs, win the second round, get through the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, that's not easy, and a lot of things got to go your way. Just because the Knicks are fantastic on paper does not guarantee that everything's going to click. They got to stay healthy, and they all got to be in sync. And I think continuity is going to work in the Knicks' favor. I really do believe that. I think the Knicks bringing in Mike Brown right now at the stage of his coaching career, connecting with this Knicks team playing all together last year. Like, you're talking about Jalen Brunson and Cat. They understand each other's tendencies now. This entire roster, like, there's not a big change happening on this roster unless Leon Rose throws a giant curveball and there's a trade looming that we're not seeing. I mean, there's a lot of rumors we've talked about regarding Giannis, Antetokounmpo, LeBron James. I'm not even going to entertain that. Like, I don't want to talk about these crazy speculation trades. I want to focus on this Knicks roster because I believe that this Knicks roster is good enough to do it. And I believe that. And I'm not just saying it, man. If you're a Knicks fan and you look at this roster, there's no reason why you should not believe that this team is good enough to do everything that we need. Leon Rose has built a team and assembled a roster that is good enough to win a championship. And they don't need to change anything. They don't need to break this team up. I felt the same way last year, and then Leon Rose had other decisions. He's like, nah, I'm going to trade for Cat. I'm going to trade for Bridges. Like, all right, good moves. But now this hire of Mike Brown is either going to be the best thing that's ever happened to this Knicks franchise, or we just plateau. You know, there's no in between. I don't see the Knicks crashing. I don't see the Knicks like not making the playoffs or anything catastrophic. You know, the worst thing that could happen is an early playoff exit, which of course it's the NBA. Nothing's guaranteed. Upsets happen. We're hoping that we can be the number 1, number 2 seed in the East, and I think that's realistic. I mean, look at this Knicks team. Why would this Knicks team not be the first seed? I think the addition of Jordan Clarkson was the missing piece all along. Right? I did not even expect him to become available at all, by the way, in free agency. He was bought out by the Jazz, and the Knicks were first in line to bring him on in. And by the way, the Knicks still have some flexibility to add another veteran to the roster, especially if there's guys like Jordan Clarkson that are taking pay cuts. You never know. Another guy can come through. Marcus Smart, perhaps? You never know. Just saying. But Yabusele is another versatile weapon for Mike Brown off the bench that I'm excited to see as well. And I'm just really trying my hardest to ground myself a little bit. And what I mean by grounding myself is like, this Knicks team looks really good. And seeing them come together the way that they did, and obviously things fell apart when you didn't want it to, right? You did not want to see this Knicks team lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. We were right there. But the way that Jalen Brunson is trending, and let me remind you guys something about Jalen Brunson, if you guys don't mind. We have not even seen the best version of Jalen Brunson yet. Let that sink in. Let that sink in right here, right now, folks. Jalen Brunson has been fantastic, the captain of the Knicks, but we have not even seen the best version of him. I believe there is another level to his game that we are about to see under Mike Brown. He is in the prime of his career. Him signing that extension last summer instead of this summer has set up the Knicks with so much financial flexibility. It allows them to maneuver this new second apron stuff, okay? You look at the Boston Celtics, they had to trade everybody. They're in financial misery right now. Jalen Brunson making that decision of signing last summer instead of this summer has set the Knicks up to make the trade for Cat, make the trade for Bridges, have OG Anunoby's contract. Like, that is a big thing that I really hope people do not forget. And then you add Mike Brown, who's an offensive genius. Jalen Brunson is about to be a potential MVP candidate this upcoming season. And you can clip that. And you can disagree with me all you want. But JB was top 5 in MVP voting 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure he finished in the top 10 this year. Like, I do believe that I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to win the MVP. But I think that there's a chance he's an MVP finalist under Mike Brown. Because the guy does things that still blows my mind. Like, I'm never not impressed by Jalen Brunson. And I think that if he can be consistent and put up like a season of 28 to 30 points per game on efficient numbers. And the thing about JB is he does not have to win the MVP or be in the MVP race to connect to a successful season. This Knicks team is so talented to the point where they could be the first seed, which is more important, team success, win 60-plus games, and it's everybody eats. Brunson is maybe putting up 25, 26 points instead of that 28, 30 because Cat is balling. Bridges unlocks his offensive game. There's more balance around him. I think the days of JB putting up 40 a night is over just because he doesn't have to. There's going to be times where he gets scorching hot and they're feeding him the rock and he's going to have those games. But do you remember years ago when the Knicks were injured 2 seasons ago and there was nobody else but JB and Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart? Those are the only 3 guys. Everybody else was Hartenstein and Achua and Deuce. JB had to put up those monster numbers. I think those days are behind him, but my point is Jalen Brunson coming off winning Clutch Player of the Year. That is what separates the Knicks from other teams, is we have a guy that going into the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left to go, he is going to do everything in his power to level up his game, to be the clutch guy to win the game. So that's my bold take. You guys can agree with me or not, but we shall see. And I think all the moves that we've seen this Knicks team make, to Yabusele off the bench, to Jordan Clarkson off the bench, to retaining all the talent, to adding Mike Brown to the mix, it's all connecting to this upcoming season, and I'm really, really excited about it, man. I absolutely am. Oh, man. I'm really excited about it. If you're a Knicks fan and you're not fired up for this upcoming season, I don't know what to tell you. Now, the last thing I want to touch on real quick before we get out of here, folks, is the Summer League roster, okay? You talk about the Knicks Summer League roster. There's a lot of intriguing things to talk about regarding it, and I think that when you look at it, the first thing that we're excited about is the young guys from last year, okay? The young guys from last year and we're going to see, potentially, this Knicks team, right, use these guys in the regular season, right? So here's the Summer League roster on your screen right now, folks, all right? And I think that looking at this together, what jumps off the screen first, right? What jumps off the screen first? We got Pacome Dadier that I think is going to have one of the most important pieces of this entire Summer League roster is going to be him, right? Tyler Kolek, he ran the show last year from a floor general perspective. I'm excited to see what he looks like, getting everybody involved. Kevin McCullough Jr. is a guy that did not play in the Summer League last year, right? And I think seeing him is going to be exciting. We saw him play in Westchester last year. He reminds me of a mini version of Josh Hart. All right, that's going to be exciting. Marjan Beauchamp, he was on the Knicks roster last year at the end of the bench. All right. Mohamed Diawara, the Knicks' second-round pick in the 2025 NBA draft. That's going to be a name to watch. Ariel Hukporti, of course, is the name to watch as well. Dink Pat as well. There's so many guys I'm excited to watch. Summer League is a great time to watch basketball in the summer. You guys let me know if there's any names that I'm missing that you think is going to be really intriguing to watch. So that kicks off very, very soon. But that's going to wrap it up, folks. The Knicks got Leon Rose hiring Mike Brown. We heard from Mike Brown today. The new era of Knicks basketball is underway, folks. And all of a sudden, we're going to be blinking our eyes and October comes around. Training camp for the Knicks is here. Preseason. All of a sudden, we would talk about regular season Knicks basketball. So stay tuned for content, man. I'm excited to see what is to come for this New York Knicks basketball team this year. They got a lot of high expectations from us Knicks fans. Welcome to the Knicks family, Mr. Mike Brown. We are very excited to have you. That's going to wrap it up, folks. Let's go Knicks. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in, and let's go Knicks. Let's go Knicks, folks. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your night.